Hi, thank you for taking the time to view our presentation. We are the management team for Ferris, Industry F53371. My name is Jonah Friedman.
My name is Mitchell Garvey.
My name is Winona Gomes. My name is Heidi Fashia.
My name is Shom Ghosh.
After our introduction, Shom will get into the different strategies we used, followed by Mitch summarizing our results. Then Winona will explain what we took away from the simulation, and finally, Heidi will explain our recommendations for the incoming management team. Throughout the 8 rounds of the simulation, we manufactured 3 products: Fast, FCS, and Faster. We have highlighted several categories and where we place in them relative to the rest of our industry. It is interesting to note, in particular, our #1 asset turnover rating. It clearly doesn't follow the trend of our other financial results. We will explain why that might have happened. We didn't knock it out of the park in terms of our financial success, and we will go into detail about why that is. But despite that, we came out with valuable insights about the importance of developing and implementing strategies, among other things.
A business strategy is almost always at the forefront of the success of a firm. Being able to execute the strategy in an effective manner while taking in consideration of both external and internal factors to alter the strategy can possibly bring back large returns and can possibly align the company for future successful growth. At the early stages of our business, our management team decided to pick the differentiator strategy. Our main goal was to make distinguished products in the market. We focused on 3 main points for our products. 1, life cycle focus. 2, excellent design. And 3, excellent quality. With these 3 criteria, we were set to make high-tech products that would drift into the low-tech sector. As I noted before, although execution of the strategy is a very important aspect, one of the most important focuses with a business strategy is the ability to reassess the chosen strategy and alter the strategy where needed. After the first 4 rounds, our management team decided to add one important aspect to our strategy: profit versus profitability. We noticed that we saw large profits and success at the early stages of our business. However, this was very unbalanced with the comparison to our profitability. Mitch will be reviewing the results and implications of this further on in the video in the results section. More specifically, to meet this goal, we chose to invest in the areas of 1, TQM, 2, HR, and 3, promo and sales. Also, as a management team, we found it very important not only to make this addition to our strategy, but to also review our assessment criteria to our performance after each round. We deferred away from assessing our performance by our stock price and short-term cash position to our returns from our future investments, such as, but not limited to, capacity, TQM, and HR. Through this, we were able to hold a heavier focus on our long-term performance.
Our results helped us access what worked and what didn't work with our strategies. These results will allow us to make appropriate recommendations for the incoming management. The primary issue when examining our initial strategy is that we focused too much on short-term issues, which therefore left us vulnerable in later years, and eventually saw our opponents pull away from us in terms of sales and profits. Subsequently, we didn't focus enough on long-term investments like TQM and HR, and rather spent money on unnecessary capacity, among other things in the early stages of the simulation. Another result that was also troubling was the amount of unwanted debt put upon us due to emergency loans. 3 weeks in a row, we were given emergency loans. It also happened to be around the same time we were trying to implement our new long-term performance strategy. In the end, we ended the simulation with 12.6% of the market share, which was 5th best in the industry and 1.2% lower than when we were using the initial strategy opposed to the long-term performance. We shifted our strategy to long-term performance in hopes of gaining more market share down the road. It clearly did not work as expected, mostly due to the debt obligations that we had to pay. One of the positive results when examining our financial statement is our asset turnover. which was top in the industry. Although this is very misleading because of our lack of assets, we ended up with $37,094 worth of assets, which on average was much lower than the rest of the industry. In hindsight, we should have invested more assets and taken advantage of our strong asset turnover ratio. The most overlooked result that was not dealt with properly was our high costs and our poor cost control. We focused too much on increasing revenues and not enough on lowering costs, which will later be explained in more depth. Altogether, the results of our company do not reflect what we were hoping for as a management team, but they allow us to make the most in-depth analysis to the incoming management.
There are three major lessons that we can take away from this project. The first is the importance of executing tactics that align with our business strategy. Our team lost focus with our DRAFT strategy as we kept on repositioning our products into the high-tech segment. The increased repositioning caused Ferris to incur lots of research and development costs. Since we did not let our high-tech products drift into the low-tech segment, as they grew more outdated, high-tech customers did not want to purchase them anymore, as they wanted relatively new products as opposed to the low-tech segment customers. We ended up losing market share thus in both the high-tech and low-tech segments. Therefore, it is clear that before executing our tactics, we should have considered whether it aligned with our business strategy. Another important lesson that we can take away is the importance of balancing short-term profit with long-term profitability. In the initial rounds, our team focused a lot on elements that would get fair short-term profits, such as spending on our sales and promo budgets for our products. However, we failed to invest in TQM and HR initiatives early on. Because of this, we could not reap the cumulative benefits such as labor and material cost reductions, demand increases, and lower employee turnover rates. This hindered our performance severely, especially since our major competitors such as Erie and Digby invested in these initiatives early on. For example, their variable costs were noticeably smaller than ours, as you can see in the graph. So while we were using our capital to finance these high costs, they were using their savings to grow the company and improve their products. In addition, we did not invest in capacity initially, despite our good cash position. Thus, as the rounds progressed, we realized that we did not have enough capacity to fulfill demand. So it is crucial to remember to balance the needs of short-term profit with the needs of long-term profitability in order to ensure the success of the company. Finally, it is also very important to take the time to produce accurate forecasts. Ferris had an excessive inventory in the early rounds and went out of stock for some of the products in the later rounds. When calculating demand forecasts for our products, we should have taken into account qualitative assessments. For example, when forecasting, we should have examined the customer survey scores and compared it with our competitors' scores. Because we didn't do this, we overproduced our products in the early rounds and we had to pay 12% inventory carrying costs. When we underproduced some of our products in the later rounds, our actual market share was well below our potential market share. This basically allowed us to give away our customers to our competitors. From this, we can gather that it is very important to take the time to produce accurate forecasts, and while doing so, we need to assess both qualitative and quantitative data.
Our core problem was balancing future growth and profitability versus short-term profits. Our management's decisions were severely skewed towards making a short-term profit, which proved to be very detrimental to our long-term market opportunities. Therefore, our first recommendation is to change the management style from not only short-term but to also think about the long-term. In order to accomplish this, it is recommended that you start investing in total quality management and sustainability initiatives, which will reduce your R&D cycle times, costs, and also improve the company image. Since the short-term mentality has gotten us stuck in a short-termism loop in which we had a very reactive HR strategy, which led to a lack of talent that inhibited our growth, it is also very important to invest in HR. Secondly, as an extension of the aforementioned recommendation, it is of the utmost importance to balance the need to control costs versus the need to increase market share. We mostly focus on increasing market share, which proved very detrimental to our bottom line. Thus, it is recommended that in order to increase margins and profitability, cost control should be an immediate priority. In order to catch up with our competitors' superior cost control, you need to invest in TQM and HR initiatives to decrease costs, as well as increase operational efficiency. Lastly, after changing these two aspects of our management style, that is, a focus not only on the short term but also on the long term, and striking a balance between the need to control costs and the need to increase market share, it is recommended that you lower the company's debt leverage by altering the current debt to equity ratio, so that less debt and more equity financing is used to finance our asset base. These recommendations have been compiled into an immediate recommended business plan for you. Broadly, it is recommended that you adhere to the differentiator with product lifecycle focus strategy and allow high-tech products such as FCS to drift to the low-tech segment. This is due to the fact that repositioning only cuts the age in half, and even if you do this year after year, you will still drift further and further from what is wanted in the high-tech segment, which are absolutely brand new products. Until you get the company in better shape, it is recommended that you focus on the company's current status as a high-tech market player. The next step is then to invest heavily in TQM initiatives, especially continuous process improvement, just-in-time and quality initiative training, in order to decrease material and labor costs in the future, as well as training and recruiting to increase productivity and decrease turnover. Instead of investing in automation at this point, rather invest in concurrent engineering, since automation increases R&D cycle lengths, which would prove very detrimental to a company that is heavily affected by R&D cycles through our continuous release of new high-tech products. If feasible, start the gradual payoff of debts at this point as well. These operational objectives will hopefully lead to an improved company image, net income, and market capitalization. After this improvement in the company's position, stock prices should rise, and we recommend that you issue more stocks in order to fulfill the Leveraging Balance Act previously discussed. With the new capital, you can start also becoming a bigger market player in the low-tech segment and invest in automation, which will decrease labor costs. Although automation leads to longer R&D cycles, these effects will be negated by your previous cumulative investment in concurrent engineering initiatives, which have decreased your R&D cycles. The final step is then to pay off all the company's old debts that have accumulated and as such increase the company's credit rating. In conclusion, we believe that this business plan will improve the company's current position through the effective utilization of leverage, increased margins through cost control, and a forward-thinking mentality that leads to future growth and profitability.
Even though we were in the bottom of our industry in terms of results, we believe that now we have a strong grasp on where we went wrong and how we could avoid failure in a similar simulation activity. Through reflection and analysis of our results, we have a much better idea how to develop our strategy in a way that satisfies the long-term prospects of the company while still being able to produce a short-term profit. On behalf of my associates and me, we wish the best of luck to our successors.